So we've looked at hardness in water, we've looked at the experiment using EDTA, and we have looked at the difference of deionized versus distilled water. What we're going to move on to now is water treatment, and in general it's divided up into two parts: the removal of suspended solids and then our addition of chemicals, which I'll get to in a minute. There are four parts here to our removal of suspended solids. The first one is a settlement, and basically what that means is that our particles are allowed to settle. What's added then is a flocculating agent, and that's aluminium sulfate, or alum, ALUM, and you need to know that. And what that does is that it brings together smaller particles and it joins those smaller fine particles together in a process called clumping. Aluminium sulfate is itself a flocculating agent, so the removal of this stage is called flocculation. Okay, so smaller particles or fine particles clump, basically joining together. When they clump, they're going to end up falling to the bottom of our tanks. Okay, so from the top then we have decanting, and in decanting our water overflows. Okay, and once it's overflowed here, it then goes into a filtration system. So it passes through sand and gravel beds, and that removes any fine particles that may be left over. Our water at this stage has all its suspended solids removed, but it may not be safe to drink, okay? And our second section then is our addition of chemicals. So firstly, it's chlorination, where we add chlorine, and the reason for this is to kill any pathogens or microorganisms. It's obviously important that only the correct amount of chlorine is added because it is toxic in large quantities. It has a very distinct odour and taste, and there's a big difference in the chlorine concentrations between drinking water and swimming pool water, and we will come to that at the end of this chapter. Okay, so very important that the correct amount of chlorine is added. This next phase then is fluoridation. Now, this isn't done in every single country. It is done in Ireland, and what's added is sodium fluoride, and it prevents tooth decay. Again, only the correct amount of this can be added because, again, in large quantities it's toxic to our bloodstream, and it can also result in our teeth becoming stained. The idea of adding fluorine is to help prevent tooth decay. The final thing then that may be added or may not will depend on the type of, I suppose, environment and rocks you live on or in, okay? So if we have very acidic water, we're going to add in a base, and the base that's added is calcium hydroxide or lime, okay? The danger of acidic water is that it can corrode pipes, so that's why we'd add in the calcium hydroxide. If my pH is too high, I'd add in sulfuric acid, so that will bring it back down to neutral, so it lowers the pH if it's too basic. The problem with having too basic water is that it can affect taste.